GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. You're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network.
And with that, we welcome you to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. This is episode 150.
150. I love it.
We're making moves.
That's right.
We're moving on up. It's the NFL Week 6 cast, and as you may guess, I am here in the flesh with Mr. Perez himself. I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD on Twitter, and as I mentioned, Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez. How you doing today?
You know what, man? I'm doing pretty good, man. It's nice to actually be here in studio with you right now. First time, long time.
Absolutely.
Feeling good. You just helped me record a little voiceover work for a project that I'm working on. I appreciate that. Excited to get that out. So I'm doing real well, man. I'm feeling good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's episode 150. We got a new intro.
Yes, we do.
Thanks to Chuck Ingersoll. He's a local voiceover guy in Rochester, New York, and he helped us out, and we're pretty excited about it.
Thanks, Chuck.
I hate to take Lewis's voice off, but
it's okay.
I wanted to shake things up a bit, and I felt it was a good time to do it with episode 150.
It's good. My voice is still sexier. Sorry, Chuck.
Look it. I cannot confirm nor deny. But hey, I want to mention real quick, you can hear this podcast on BetterLiveThanDead.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts, you can get this podcast. If not, let us know. Like we always tell you, let John know. Yell at him. Don't yell at us.
Yeah, definitely yell at John.
Absolutely. Even if you get the podcast, still yell at John. But I don't want to mess around too much, Lewis, because we've got three big things this week, and we've got some very big things this week going on. First off, it's baseball. It's the playoffs.
It is.
I want to get caught up on a Major League Baseball playoffs. First off, Washington, the Nationals. They complete a 4-game sweep of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes, they did.
They advanced to their first World Series in franchise history. Now, granted, because they used to be the Expos, they would have likely happened in 1994. The Montreal Expos 74-40 in the NL East, up 6 games on the Braves. But because Major League Baseball sucks bad, that season was canceled, and that never happened. Most people suggested that it was likely they would have won the World Series. We know they had a ton of future Hall of Famers.
They did.
So on and so forth. But are you surprised by how Washington's season has played out? It's kind of like a Cinderella story almost.
It is. They were struggling for a little bit, and they went on a tear. I honestly did not expect them to sweep the Cardinals. I thought that'd be a much better series. It's funny to me that, you get rid of someone like Bryce Harper, who's, somewhere crying in his $330 million.
It's really funny how that worked out, too, how Bryce Harper left and they got better. I mean, granted.
They got better, yeah.
Granted, they have more talent around the spread around, which is good.
Right.
I mean, Anthony Rendon taking a further step in the contract year to being a potential National League MVP. That certainly helped them out. But, I mean, it's cool to see a different team in the World Series. I mean,
it is nice.
The Dodgers have been good,
right?
But it's nice to get a little shake-up.
But the Dodgers did the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be there. So it's fun to watch. I'm curious to see exactly how it's going to play out when it comes time to actually play the winner of the American League.
Which right now, just a quick heads up, our time of recording, we're about 40 minutes or 45 minutes before the start of Game 5. They had a day off because of rain, so it's going to be Zach Greinke versus Masahiro Tanaka. Likely Verlander Game 6, likely Cole Game 7 if it gets there.
Right.
Both guys on full rest, too, which is a little daunting for the Yankees. So, I mean, really, the Yankees need to win. This is a must-win. I mean, every game in the playoffs.
Every game in the playoffs.
But this Game 5 is an absolute must-win for the New York Yankees because if you go down 3-1, you have to beat you'll have to beat Verlander and Cole.
Right.
Both of them.
Right.
I feel like my math isn't adding up. Maybe it's game 4, 2-1.
This is Game 4, bro.
It's Game 4.
Yeah, it's not for Game 5.
My math was wrong. I knew something was wrong there. Yeah, so this is Game 4. So they're up 2-1. If you go down 3-1 and you've got to face Cole and Verlander and someone else,
yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Good luck.
Yeah,
very, very good luck.
What's up, Kat? How you
Sammy
doing?
is making her presence known. She's doing the figure eights in here. So that series has been good though. It's been quite the slobber knocker. I wonder almost if I mean I always thought that whoever won that series would win the World Series.
Right.
But those teams have beat up on each other.
They have.
Whereas Washington held down the Cardinals.
Oh, big time. Wasn't even close.
Two no-hitters almost.
Yeah.
Strasburg looked great. Scherzer looked good. Anibal Sanchez looked good.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. That was.
you can't really complain.
Yeah, the Nationals made the Cardinals look like they shouldn't even have been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I would love a Houston, Washington. I mean, either way, it would be a great World Series, I think. But thinking about Game 1 being...
You just don't want Yankees to be there. You just don't want the Yankees there.
But thinking about Game 1, Garrett Cole versus Garrett Cole versus Max Scherzer, or Justin Verlander versus Steven Strasburg, I mean, that is about as good as it gets for Major League Baseball. And those
would be hell of a matchup.
Those would be incredible games to watch. Yeah,
I agree. But
so that's what I'm thinking about.
Because the Yankees are going to come back and win.
The other thing about baseball we want to talk about real quick is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They have a new manager, Joe Madden. Shockingly named the Angels manager. He was previously a member of the Angels organization as a minor league player, a minor league manager, and a major league coach. In 2 different seasons in Anaheim, he amassed a 27-24 record. He ended up leaving, going to Tampa, and then going to Chicago. Now he's back. He's a career record of 1,252 wins and 1,068 losses. In 16 years, he did win the AL pennant in 2008, which I still believe the Red Sox, if they should have won the pennant, then they would have beat the Phillies in the World Series and go back-to-back. But I digress. And then in 2016, they won the NL pennant and the World Series title with the Chicago Cubs, breaking that curse. So it'll be nice to see Mike Trout finally have, I mean, no hate on Mike Scioscia, but, he's about as mediocre as it got there. And
that's true. That's true.
It'll be nice to see Mike Trout have a real somewhat competent manager.
It'll be, I mean, with Mike Trout, you kind of need to let that dude be Mike Trout. And if you have someone doing better game plans with him, it's going to be fun to watch because, it's Mike Trout. He's probably the best player in baseball right now.
I think he's the best player, one of the best players of all time, but that's my opinion. But
it's I really can't argue with that.
No, I didn't think you would.
I wouldn't. Nope.
I want to move over to football now. Second of the 3 big things this week. It's weird because I can keep time I've got the time on the recorder and it can tell me how long we're talking.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're doing good on time. We're doing good on time. So, the big news this week came out after Week 6, between Week 6 and Week 7. Week 6 and Week 7. The Los Angeles Rams made 2 big trades. First off, early in the day, Tuesday, they trade cornerback Marcus Peters to the Baltimore Ravens for linebacker Kenny Young and a 2020 fifth-round pick. A lot of people presumed that was the precursor to a Jalen Ramsey trade. They were correct. Hours later, Los Angeles acquired cornerback Jalen Ramsey from the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2020 and 2021 first-round pick, along with a 2021 fourth-round pick. Now, Lewis, I got some numbers here for you. First off, Jalen Ramsey has been out since Week 4 with a lingering back issue, but somehow being traded to Los Angeles quelled that injury, and he's healthy now.
It's amazing how that happens.
It's crazy how it works out
so
that
nuts.
way. Yeah. But the Rams ranked 20th in Pro Football Focus's adjusted pass defense per NFL.com. Per ESPN's coverage analysis of NFL's next-gen data, quote, the Rams have played some version of a man-to-man concept in their secondary in just 34% of their snaps in 2019, down from 41% in 2018 and 53% in 2017. That's important because Ramsey has noted his desire to play in a man scheme, which would allow him to shadow an opposing team's number 1 wide receiver throughout the entire game.
Right.
He's always said, I'm the best, put me against the best, and watch what I do. Right. And he's going to get that opportunity in Los Angeles, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, that's definitely going to make their defense much more formidable. And, he'll get his opportunity, and hopefully he'll be able to live up to his word out there. I mean, he got what he wanted. He's gone. He's at a new team, and if you got to be in a new team, the Rams are not a bad place to be.
I mean, the dude talks a bunch of trash, but he does back it up with the play on the field.
He does.
And at this point, putting him in that defense, I mean, Aqib Talib just went down, so their secondary is pretty beat up.
Right.
But maybe when I don't know when Talib comes back, they'll have a formidable defensive back end. But I don't really know what the Rams are doing because it really seems like, and I was listening to John Clayton talk about this on WGR 550 this afternoon, that really in the Detroit game they figure out how to stop the Rams offense. And that was to play a version of the 46 defense where you put 6 guys in front and then a linebacker in back and are behind them, and you can stop the run that way, and then you force Jared Goff to pass, and obviously it's making him play quarterback apparently is a difficult thing, despite the fact they gave him like $136 million.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about the Rams game in a few minutes because it was very, very ugly. So we won't go too deep into that, but the offense has been figured out. They're trying to find a way. They tried a 2 tight end set last week to see if they could break up some of the defensive game plan, but it didn't really work, which again we'll talk about in a minute. But the one thing, Lewis, that I wanted to get your thought on, the thing that's been burning in the back of my head since last Sunday.
Oh boy.
Your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Played
the Jets.
Played John's New York Jets. Now you guys don't own the teams, but they're your favorite team, so we say they're yours here on the podcast. Dallas mounted a late comeback, but fell 24-22. Now, Lewis, I don't know if you saw this statistic, but per @BobbyBeltTX on Twitter, NFL teams, follow me on this one, NFL teams are 90-1 since 1991 when they win time of possession, total yards, turnovers, pick up 25 first downs, and convert at least 10 or more third downs. The Cowboys, the 2019 Dallas Cowboys, are the one in 90-1. How does that make you feel? Tell me how you really feel.
If I was watching that game.
Let's put it this way, Lewis. Once the game went final, I said, can we record the podcast now? It's going to be real good. 150 is going to be lit.
Yes. Well, you know what? We need to fire the coach. The Dallas Cowboys need to get rid of the coach. It's 2 weeks in a row where they were real conservative for the first 3 quarters, and then
you say conservative. I'm sorry to jump in, but this is
not conservative. But
no, hear me out. This was a good thing. It was something that again John Clayton mentioned. There's rumors going around that the first 3 weeks Kellen Moore was calling plays. The last 3 games where they have all of a sudden they went from the first 3 games of being this aerial attack, air raid offense,
yes, exactly,
throwing and running all over the place, to a very conservative offensive football team like that. So people are wondering maybe Garrett took over play calling, which has led to them being 0-3.
Right.
They've lost the last 3 games.
They have
3-3 now,
and they shouldn't have lost. They shouldn't have lost. Last week against the Patriots, 2 weeks ago against the Green Bay Packers, they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. In this game, they did the same thing. They came back in the fourth quarter, and it almost seems like he realizes that his play calling is not getting the job done, so he opens up the offense, and then all of a sudden they're scoring and moving the ball. There was, I'm sure you saw the clip, where the players were walking by Garrett after they scored a touchdown, and no one wanted to give him any type of dap or love. And I think he's about to lose the team, because if he took over the call playing and you're now 0-3 in those 3 teams, then give Kellen Moore back the call playing.
I mean, we have not confirmed that that's happened.
But if that is what happened,
if it looks like a duck,
because it looks like a completely different team.
Exactly,
it's a completely different offense. It looks like a completely different team. Whatever they did, they need to stop doing it now. Yeah. They lost to the freaking Jets. If my TV wasn't like a 60-inch expensive TV, I'd have kicked it.
That's fair. I mean, Sam Darnold looked good, but the Cowboys definitely did beat themselves in that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Judging by the stat we just mentioned.
Right. I mean, the one play where it was like an 80-yard touchdown pass, like they burnt the crap out of the defense. Mad props. That was a great play. Everything else, though, I mean, yeah, man. Yeah. Like I was...
I guess if one thing that works out for Cowboys fans is that the rest of the NFC East is as mediocre as they've become.
Well, it's possible, but John has said it before, and I know some other people who have said it, and I agree with him. Jason Garrett might be a good like regular season coach, except for the last 3 games if he's calling the plays. But he's not a Super Bowl quality coach. And
I mean, we saw the preseason previews. We talked about it on the podcast so many times that a lot of people had this Cowboys team going deep in the playoffs, if not going to the Super Bowl, because there's so much talent there.
Right.
They're ready to take the next step, but it seems like something's holding them back.
Yes.
It starts at the top.
It does. It does.
And the thing is that Jerry Jones probably won't fire him in season.
He loves Garrett.
So it's going to be something where they justify it, or they bring him back next year, or they waste a season of Dak Prescott, of Zeke Elliott, of everyone else. And, I mean,
that's my concern.
Yeah, and now you've got Amari Cooper who's hurt. You've got defensive players who are banged. I mean, again, it's something where they had a good thing going, and then they just dropped the ball.
Yeah, so if they waste the season just to fire him at the offseason, if they don't make the playoffs this year, you got to fire the dude. I don't care if he's been there for 9 seasons.
I mean, you can't. There's no justification to bring him back.
None. Zero. Not with the talent that they have on that squad.
Hey, speaking of not bringing guys back, Carolina played Tampa Bay in London this week.
Yes,
Carolina won 37-26 in what was an entertaining game.
It was.
Do you think the Buccaneers could have gotten away with leaving Jameis Winston in London? Now, follow me on this one.
Okay.
Jameis Winston, the good, the bad, the ugly, right?
Yes, yes.
The good, he threw for 400 yards. Don't get me wrong, that's really good.
Right.
The bad, he was sacked 7 times. The ugly, 7 turnovers by him alone. 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. 7 turnovers, 1 guy.
That's pretty terrible.
Just take away his passport, leave him there.
And it's not even like Carolina has a shutdown stellar defense.
They got a pretty damn good defense.
It's good, but it's not like an elite defense in my opinion. But if you throw 5 picks,
well, here's what they did. Gerald McCoy now plays for the Panthers. Used to play for the Buccaneers. They talked about it. They said, "Look, Jameis likes to step up in the pocket. We're going to put pressure in the middle to keep him where he was. Got him out of his rhythm. And I mean, Jameis Winston already is not that great of a quarterback.
No.
He'll probably end up being like Blake Bortles, where you're like, give him another shot, another shot. Now he's backing up Jared Goff and LA. Granted, he's one play away from becoming the quarterback of the Rams,
right? But
still, he's not starting. I certainly think that the time is running out for Jameis Winston.
No, absolutely.
He's absolutely bad. He's real bad.
You know, you came in the league with issues. You had some issues in the league.
I think his career ended. Remember the time where he ate the W? That's when his career ended.
Absolutely.
So, bro, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. So I would have left him in London.
You have to.
I would be like, yo, enjoy your fish and chips.
Dude, no, not even that. Home alone him. Just
right.
Everyone leave.
Exactly.
Leave I can't get back. But hey, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers real quick because we're looking at our MVP watch.
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey.
You know what? I knew you were going to bring this up because after I saw his stats in the game he had, I was like, oh, Ryan's going to rub this one in my face.
But here's the thing. For the second time this year, Tampa stopped him, and I've got the statistics to prove it here. Not only 22 carries for 31 yards and 1 touchdown. That's great for the touchdown. The yards, not great. But 4 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown as well. Now, get this, Lewis. 38 in two games versus Tampa Bay this year. McCaffrey has 38 rushes for 68 yards, 1 touchdown, with 6 catches for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Against all other opponents, McCaffrey has 89 rushes for 550 yards and 6 touchdowns, 29 catches for 263 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
So, again, he's very good against everybody that's not the Buccaneers, but still, even after Sunday's game where he only amassed 31 rushing yards, he's still on pace for 1,648 rushing yards, 19 rushing touchdowns.
Which is crazy.
93 catches,
right?
813 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. If you have 22 carries, you should definitely have more than 31 yards.
But the thing is, they still found a way to make him effective.
They did. And, that touchdown definitely helped.
There's even more coming out of this game, though. We heard some stuff before the game.
Okay.
That Cam Newton could potentially be done in Carolina. Now, Kyle Allen is 4-0 as the Panthers started this season, 5-0 since 2018. All other quarterbacks, that being Cam Newton, are 0-9 in all other games. He's the only quarterback who's won a game for the Panthers since 2018. Now, In a time like this, unnamed sources come out and say things. So we've got some stuff here. Unnamed front office staffers around the NFL believe Newton has little left in the tank after playing such a physical game through his 9 seasons, which is plausible.
Right.
An NFL source, also another NFL source, says that as many as 10 AFC teams could be interested if Newton's name hit the market.
Really?
Now, granted, we know this. We can both agree on this. A healthy Cam Newton is better than a healthy Kyle Allen.
Absolutely.
But it most certainly appears that the thing they like about Kyle Allen, they install a game plan. He sticks to the game plan. He does what he needs to do to manage the game to get his team to win.
Right.
It's 4-0 this season. Again, he picked them up from 0-2, got them to 4-2.
Right.
They're in a pretty damn good spot right now.
They are.
Also, Carolina has reportedly, now Cam Newton, they said it's the bye week, so Cam Newton's getting healthy. He may end up starting next week. But there's also a report coming out that Kyle Allen may be the guy until he loses.
Okay. All right.
There's also something, too. Now, and as always, I got to point this out. We know this. Winning changes everything.
It does.
So they were 0-2. Cam Newton.
And he's probably got a better fashion sense than Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is fashion first, fashion forward. He's a little outside the box with the clothes, but hey, it's okay.
Little?
It's okay.
He might as well be an NBA player. It's ridiculous.
It's okay. I don't care. Look, you make that much money, you can dress however the hell you want to. I don't care.
If I made that much money, I would be super sharp all the time.
That's fair. I would do the same, probably. I'd get my hair cut every day.
Yeah, I mean, 3-piece suits, the whole 9.
I can only afford a 2-piece suit now.
No, I hear you.
But yeah, I think that what's going on in Carolina is interesting because they've got a good thing going with Kyle Allen. He's not the sexy pick. I mean, he's an undrafted quarterback.
Right.
So again, it's not something where he's going to knock your socks off. But if it's working,
4-2's not a bad record.
And the team rallies around him,
right?
I mean, Cam Newton can come back and be healthy, but who knows? Because his foot was messed up from preseason, which he probably shouldn't have played through, but he decided to play through it. Because, granted, kudos to Cam Newton. His gimmick has always been playing through whatever comes. Remember he had that accident?
The accident.
Truck over, didn't miss any time.
Yeah, but played that same week.
Like, I commend Cam Newton, but I really think that maybe the time has come where he's put a little too many miles on his body. Take a step back, let yourself heal up. Plus, it might not hurt to be in a different offense. I mean, let's be honest. He's very talented.
Yeah.
But I really wonder if the whole Ron Rivera, Cam Newton thing has run out. I have to move this because I think my cat's going to step on this and end our podcast.
That would stink.
Yeah, it would be very bad. So, again, something to keep an eye on in Carolina. They got a bye week this week, so we won't see, but we'll talk more about it next week as soon as we get more information on it. Now, to another team that is not doing so hot. Well, first off, the team that is doing hot, the Houston Texans. They defeat the Kansas City Chiefs, the not-so-hot Kansas City Chiefs, 31-24. Now, Deshaun Watson, the other MVP watch candidate, 30 for 42, 280 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. The key to this game was Carlos Hyde. Never thought I would say that on the podcast. 26 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. It seems like running the ball in mass is the key to defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, is it time to panic in Kansas City for Chiefs fans?
First of all, it might be because if you watch that game, Patrick Mahomes, future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes was at times visibly limping.
Yeah.
So I think that, you mentioned it last week when we talked. He might have an injury, and that's keeping him from being.
I really wonder if he has like a high ankle sprain or something.
It's very possible. You may have to shut him down for a game or two and see what happens when he comes back. Because if he's not going to be as explosive as he normally is, if you look at his throws, you can tell he can't really plant. He's not getting the distance he normally does on his throws.
Absolutely. And if he loses his legs, it not only takes away, like you said, his firing power for his arm, but also his ability to run, his ability
and you don't want to damage yourself. Like, you don't want to keep playing and damage yourself because then you won't be future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
No, you'll be future.
You'll just be Patrick Mahomes.
Future Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
Future not Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They've had 2 bad games. Patrick Mahomes has not looked great. He looks like he's regressing back to the mean, which his mean is still really good.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, but he's not throwing for 400 yards a game. The defense, the suspect Kansas City Chiefs defense has been exposed, but also 3 games the next 3 weeks. They play Denver tonight, Thursday Night Football, which is, as of time of podcast, you'll probably hear the podcast after the games happened. But they face the Denver Broncos defense, and the week after they face the Packers, then they face the Vikings. So this next 3-week stretch is really going to say a lot.
That's going to be tough, yeah.
Because, I mean, they lost to some formidable AFC opponents, Now they take on another AFC opponent and then
Right.
2 NFC opponents. So it's very important. You have to, obviously, I mean, this is going to sound very cliche, but you have to win. Not only is it important to win the games in your conference, but you really need to try to win the games out of conference.
Absolutely.
Just because of the tiebreaker rules and all that stuff.
Right.
If you're not going to, win a division, you want to try to at least set yourself up for a good tiebreaker. But again, Kansas City struggling bad. Interesting to see what'll happen, especially on Thursday Night Football.
Right.
But we'll certainly keep an eye on Patrick Mahomes and see how he's doing. But like you said, Lewis, doesn't look like he's doing very good.
No, it doesn't. And, like I said, they may have to shut him down.
Not a doctor, but he doesn't look comfortable.
Nah, when you're limping around like that.
2 more games to talk about.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Rams now. San Francisco, man. The
Dude.
49ers. 20-7 victory on Sunday. It's San Francisco's first 5-0 start since 1990. Now get this. Here's a good stat for you, Lewis. Jared Goff, 13 for 24 for 78 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. A QBR, ESPN's QBR rating, a QBR of 1.1.
That's pretty terrible.
Now hear me out on this one, Lewis. Jared Goff, the third quarterback in the last decade, last 10 years, with 24-plus pass attempts and less than 80 passing yards. He joins Ryan Lindley, in 2012. I believe he was an Arizona Cardinal at the time. And Charlie Whitehurst in 2014.
Right.
And whenever we can get a Charlie Whitehurst name drop on a podcast,
that's a good one.
It's been a good podcast.
Absolutely.
So San Francisco continues to look good. Their defense looks incredible.
It really does.
Let's just be real. They look really damn good. The Rams continue to appear to be have gotten figured out without Todd Gurley in the lineup. They got to figure something out quick because they are sinking fast. And, I mean, you've got Seattle, who looks really good. You've got the 49ers, who have not lost a game yet, as we mentioned.
Right.
And I don't know if there's a potential. Like, I have the playoff information here, current playoff information, but I want to see where they rank currently. Because, again, if they can't get that offensive problem figured out and they can't start scoring points, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, it goes without saying, but I'm waiting for the page to load here. So right now, without spoiling any other information here, the Rams are 11th in the NFC at 3-3. And it doesn't get much easier for them right now. I mean, they've got let's pop the Rams up here real quick. They face the Falcons and Bengals, so those are probably 2 easy wins for them. Then they've got the Bears, Ravens. They play the Cardinals. They've got the Seahawks, Cowboys, 49ers. So that second half of that schedule.
That's a tough second half.
Really tough.
Yeah, no doubt. First of all, if you had told me at the beginning of the season that going into week, what are we going into, 7 here?
7.
That the Patriots would be undefeated, I would probably say, okay, yeah, I can see that. It makes sense. But if you had told me that the San Francisco 49ers were also going to be undefeated, I probably would have laughed at you.
I probably would have laughed at you, too. I would have said, hey, they're probably good, but I don't know if they're that good.
I did not see this coming. And if you had told me that the Rams were going to be 3-3, I kind of would have been surprised.
But I think that's credit to Kyle Shanahan, though.
Right.
They've done a very good job building. He identified early that Jimmy Garoppolo was his guy.
Right.
To run his specific offense. And he went out, got him, paid the ticket for the kid. I mean, he got hurt last year, obviously, but he's come back, and it seems to be no worse for the wear.
Right.
And if that defense can stay as good as they are, I mean, there should be no reason why. You've got Seattle right now at 5-1, the 49ers at 5-0, and the Rams at 3-3. There's a couple 4-2 teams, the Vikings and Panthers, but I mean, the 49ers, as long as they do their job for the rest of the season, I mean, they should make the playoffs with no problem.
They should.
And they should be a tough out for sure.
They should.
So we'll see what happens there. But I want to talk about this game. I've dubbed it the Dumbass Bowl.
Okay.
Washington defeats Miami 17-16. Now, Josh Rosen, days, Lewis, not weeks, not months, not years, days after being named the starter for the rest of the season, he was benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick channeled Fitzmagic and goes old school, scores a last-minute touchdown. Now, get this. Miami goes for 2. Kenyon Drake in the backfield. Screen pass. Fitzpatrick to Drake. Drake drops the ball. Game over. Washington wins 17-16. Washington gets their first win. Miami stays winless.
Yes.
It's like that scene from Billy Madison when he says, "We are now all dumber for having experienced this."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I felt watching that game. It's like I felt like I slammed my beanbag in a car door, and I'm just like,
right.
Why did I do that?
Right.
That was that game.
It was, it was one of those games where I was like, I kind of want this to end in a tie.
It almost was tied going to overtime if they had to take the extra point. But then again, Brian Flores was like, hey, let's be crazy and try to win this game. But
right. I would have liked to, if it ended in a tie, both teams would still be winless. It would have been great.
Not to mention, too, I don't know if you caught that play, but what a terrible play call it was. Not only was the drop terrible, but the fact that you're on the 2 or 3 or whatever it is for the extra point for the 2-point conversion, and your idea is to drop a screen pass to a running back and hope to God he can run through a pile of 4 or 5 people.
Right.
Even if he caught it, it wouldn't have worked.
No, it was a pretty terrible.
Great job.
Yeah, well,
There's a reason why those types of people don't have jobs for very long, and we now know.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Washington on the dumbass bowl victory.
Good job. You get a participation trophy.
Now they're probably going to lose the rest of the season.
That's the hope.
They are very bad.
They're terrible.
So is Miami. Hopefully Miami loses this week against the Buffalo Bills.
17, it'll be fun.
17.5-point favorites that the Bills are.
The Bills have a nice defense, man.
Look, I'm so confident. Obviously, trust the podcast. Buffalo Bills, obviously, I'm just throwing out buzzwords here. You guys know how much I love the Bills. But I'm even so on board with the fact that it's the Dolphins, and the Dolphins allow the most points. I think they allow, on average, the most points to quartersbacks.
Yes.
I'm starting Josh Allen in fantasy this week.
Right. I don't blame you.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll be fun if Owen Fitzy comes back and just throws bombs all over Buffalo.
That defense is too good, though.
Well, yeah.
I think
we'll see.
Fitzmagic will show up at New Era Field, a la
right.
I don't know, 8-9 years ago, Ryan Fitzpatrick, but
it'll be fantastic.
Looking forward to it. Either way, it's going to be fun because it's going to be beautiful on Sunday, so the tables will be out.
After the game, I can see him if they win with his big old beard and his shirts open and the gold chains. Right, exactly.
My impression of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Anyways, I want to move on to the third of the 3 big things this week, Lewis. We're going to talk about the playoff picture real quick.
Playoffs?
In the AFC, 1-6, New England, Houston, Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, and the Oakland Raiders.
Really? Okay.
Now looking at it's a tiebreaker because they have the tiebreaker over the Colts. You've got the Browns, Jags, Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, Titans at 2-4, Jets 1-4, Bengals 0-6, Dolphins 0-5. Failed to mention the Bengals currently own the first overall draft pick because they are 0-6.
Even over Miami?
Even because they have one more loss.
Oh, they got one more loss. That's right. Yeah.
They have a worse losing record than a team who has already lost. Just they've lost more games. They suck worse.
Yeah.
In the NFC,
the Bengals are terrible.
The Bengals are really bad.
Oh.
But if they get Tua, or if they get Justin Herbert or Jake Fromm, they might be fine. Or the kid from LSU, he's also shooting up the draft boards. We'll talk draft soon because it's getting to be about halfway through the season.
Yeah.
The NFC, San Francisco, Green Bay, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Seattle, Minnesota. Important thing to point out, New Orleans likely without Drew Brees this week. They have a bye week next week. Drew Brees will likely be back after the bye week.
Right.
So if New Orleans can beat Chicago and go to 6-1, or if they lose to Chicago and go to 5-2, you're still looking at literally, I think, the best case scenario, losing Drew Brees, and then going out and winning a bunch of games with Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
And now they're looking for the catbird seat, right?
If one of our listeners happens to be friends with Jason Garrett, I want you to send him this podcast, and I want him to listen to the teams that was just listed for the NFC, and I want him to notice that the Dallas Cowboys are no longer in that list.
Well, they could be in the list next week. They just have to beat the Eagles.
They do have to beat the Eagles, who have taken their place currently.
Remember, right now they are tied, but the tiebreaker goes to the Eagles.
Right.
So,
but if they beat the Eagles, that'll be good.
Looking right now at the NFC, the contenders, pretenders, we'll just go down the list. You've got the Panthers sitting alone in 7th, 4-2. You've got the Bears 3-2 and 8th. The Lions at 2-1, 9th. The Cowboys and Rams 10th and 11th at 3-3 each. The Cardinals are 2-3-1. The Giants are 2-4. The Bengals are 2-4. Or the Buccaneers are 2-4. I apologize. Falcons 1-5, and Washington rounding it out at 1-5. Looking at the draft order right now, it says Miami, but I don't think that is correct because I'm pretty sure it'd be the Bengals, but whatever. Or maybe, I don't know how that works.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know. That's interesting. Let me see if I can find out on my phone real quick. Draft order 2020. Let's take a look right now. Entering week 7. No, it says the Bengals, which I thought that was the case. But this website apparently is telling us the wrong thing.
Okay.
Also, you know what really blows my mind?
What's up?
Oh, ESPN says it's Miami and over Cincinnati. I don't get it. We'll have to figure it out. I don't know. If you know, let us know because I don't know.
Yes.
Because one says one thing, one says
the other.
Do you know the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they traded their first-round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick, they've had a first-round pick every year since like 1968 or something like that.
Right.
This would be the first year they won't pick in the first round of the draft.
That's crazy.
That's a wild stat.
That is a wild stat.
It's a random stat. But
they're another team that needs to get rid of their coach.
You know what? There have been some rumors around there that they might. Washington might be interested in like a coach trade.
Really?
Yeah, because Washington is trying to grasp at straws. But I think Pittsburgh will be fine once they have a transition plan away from Ben Roethlisberger. They definitely need to get some talent around Juju Smith-Schuster because he's not as good as he was last year because he's being treated like a number one.
Right.
James Conner's not terrible, but I mean I think that they pinned a lot of their hopes on Ben Roethlisberger this year,
right? To
maybe do some Big Ben stuff and get them to 10 or 11 wins and sneak them in the playoffs.
I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan by any means.
I think you made that over the last 150 episodes. I think you've made that fact quite clear.
And I always enjoy watching them lose, but at the same token, while I'm not a Big Ben guy. This is kind of, if this is his last season, it's kind of a crappy way to spend your last season.
I mean, he said he's coming back next year, but
did he? Okay.
He was also fined recently $5,000
for an
Apple Watch.
Yeah,
which you're not supposed to wear.
Right.
No communication device. It's like in baseball when you have a cell phone in the dugout, you're whatever. So.
Right.
I get it, but it's all the bad stuff that happens to him. I think he deserves because he's kind of a terrible person.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So,
But now, real quick to wrap up the podcast, let's look ahead to week 7.
Okay.
Some big matchups. I started scrolling down the schedule, Lewis, and I got to be honest with you. I was looking at it, and I'm like, man, week 7's going to suck.
Right.
Then I hit the bottom half of the schedule.
Okay.
There are some good matchups. You've got 4-2 Minnesota at 2-3-1 Detroit. Detroit, I think, has played better than their record has shown.
Absolutely.
For sure. Are they? I
like this Detroit team.
They're 2-3-1. I don't remember. I think that's right. Oakland 3-2 at 5-1 Green Bay. We get to find out if we know Green Bay's for real.
Right.
Is Oakland for real?
No.
That's what we'll find out this week. Houston 4-2 at Indianapolis 3-2. A very big divisional matchup. Can Deshaun Watson continue his MVP-esque season? We'll see.
That'll be a good matchup.
You've got the 2-3-1 Cardinals at the 2-4 Giants. The reason this is a big matchup, you've got Kyler Murray versus Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes.
Right.
That'll be a good game to watch. I probably not, but whatever. Kyler Murray is actually one of the top passing quarterbacks in the NFL this year. I saw some stats, can't remember what they were, but he's definitely living up to the hype so far. You've got the 5-1 New Orleans Saints versus the 3-2 Chicago Bears. They may get Mitch Trubisky, Money Mitchell Trubisky back this week.
Let's go Bears.
I don't think that'll make much of a difference, but we'll see. 4-2 Baltimore Ravens versus the 5-1 Seattle Seahawks, and what may be the game of the week.
That'd be a good game.
Personally, I benched Lamar Jackson in my fantasy football league just because I felt like Josh Allen was probably a better option.
Right.
That'll probably come back to bite me in the ass. But here's my thing. I don't have Christian McCaffrey this week or Mike Evans this week. Granted, Mike Evans hasn't been doing all that great, but my cat's playing with lip gloss right now.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
But once Christian McCaffrey's out this week, I'm probably going to lose. So I just took some shots. I started. No one cares about my fantasy football team. I understand that. You don't got to tell me on Twitter. But, like, I started San Fran's defense against Washington. I started
Makes sense.
Devin Singletary. He's back. He's healthy. They're going to want to showcase him.
Right.
Plus, the Miami defense is terrible.
That's true.
And then you've got Josh Allen as well. I'm hoping that that'll work out. Plus, I may have acquired I may have acquired DeAndre Hopkins.
Really? That's a good pickup.
Traded a couple.
Right.
I traded Will Fuller and the McLaughlin kid from Washington.
Okay.
For DeAndre Hopkins.
Very cool.
I think it was a fair trade. But things are going good in football. The Bills are doing good. I'm gonna record a solo Trust the Podcast here in a minute. So I don't know when you listen, how you listen, but if you listen to this one, I'm real time recording Trust the Podcast after. So if you listened before,
yes,
you're the backwards man.
That's right.
But hey, Lewis, it's been a blast.
It's been fun. It's been good to be here in person.
150. I know we've done more than 150, but this is official.
It's official. It's
150.
official.
So I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you having me here.
You can follow Lewis at MRLG Perez. I'm at Wolfe BLTD. BetterLiveThanDead.com. Wherever you get your podcast, you get this podcast, like we said. As always, we are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
Don't ever get it twisted. We'll catch you sometime very soon.
Deuces.
Thanks for tuning in.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.
Welcome, everyone. This is Sleazy.
This is the Fat Man.
And the world-famous R-rated podcast is now on the Gear Network. The Wrestling Show with Sleazy and the Fat Man is classless and raunchy commentary on the wrestling business today. Our multiple hosts, including Sleazy the Fat Man, Chip Willett, and NEW owner Travis Kenning, give a differing take on news, rumors, reviews, and previews of the entirety of the worldwide pro wrestling market.
We do what we want, we say what we want, and we don't give a at all. That's just the way we go.
Check us out on the Gear Network.